Hello, my name's Mrs. Tyler and we're doing biology revision techniques today. Today's technique is called brain dump, where all we're doing is taking content and we're trying to remember it and writing it down on a single sheet of paper. As usual, I'm using combined science, I'm using higher level, so that means anybody doing triple award and dual award can do it. And I'm using Unit 1. In my school we do it in Year 9, so everybody should have done it by now. And the topic that we're going to revise today then is cell differentiation and cell division, mitosis. I'm going to ignore specialised cells down here because I'm hoping you can all remember specialised cells. All right, let's get started. Paper. So here's my scrap piece of paper and here's my revision guide. We've said that we're ignoring this section down here, so we're going to start just by thinking about cell differentiation and specialization. So it says differentiation is the process by which a cell changes to become specialized. As cells change, they develop different subcellular structures to turn into different types of cell. This allows them to carry out specific functions. So cells can change from being a general or undifferentiated cell into becoming a specialized cell or a differentiated cell. It's got special things about it. Most differentiation occurs as an organism develops. In most animal cells, the ability to differentiate is then lost at an early stage after they become specialized. However, lots of plant cells don't ever lose this ability. So differentiation occurs mostly in humans in the embryo. Plants can do it all the time. The cells that differentiate in mature animals are used for repairing and replacing cells, such as skin or blood cells. But even as an adult, we do keep a few undifferentiated cells called stem cells. So cell differentiation is when a cell becomes different. It goes from being general to being specialized and doing a certain job. Okay. What did we say cell differentiation was? It was when a cell becomes different. It becomes specialized to do a job. All right. It differentiates. It becomes from being general to being different. All right. On to our next section then that we need to know about, which is mitosis. And mitosis is how cells divide. So body cells in multicellular organisms divide to form new cells as part of a series of stages called the cell cycle. The stages of a cell cycle when a cell divides is called mitosis. So you are doing mitosis right now. Your skin is mitosing because your skin is wearing off. Your bones are probably mitosing because you are teenagers and your bones are probably growing. You're making new bone cells. So multicellular organisms use mitosis to grow or replace cells that have been damaged. The end of the cell cycle results in two cells that are identical to the original cell, with the same number of chromosomes. So you need to know about two main stages of the cell cycle. So in a cell that's not dividing, the DNA is spread out in long strings called chromosomes. But before it divides, it goes from being a single chromosome, I'm going to draw it like that, to replicating itself and being a double chromosome. Let's draw it like that. So DNA needs to replicate itself, and those strands of DNA, those chromosomes, go from being single wiggly worms to cross-shaped wiggly worms. And they are identical. So this one is identical to this one. They are the same. They contain the same genes. Once it's done that, and its chromosomes are cross-shaped, then those chromosomes move to the middle of the cell and they are pulled apart. You can see one goes to one side and one goes to the other. So the chromosomes line up in the middle and the pair of chromosomes is pulled apart, one to one side, one to the other. Then a membrane forms around each separate group and eventually the cytoplasm and cell membrane divide and it becomes two identical cells. So the DNA replicates, lines up down the middle, splits, a new membrane forms, and then the cytoplasm and cell membrane split to form two cells. What happens at the start? The DNA replicates. What do the chromosomes then do? They move to the middle and separate. And lastly, what happens? Membranes form around each set of chromosomes, and then the cytoplasm in the membrane splits. All right, so I've put the revision guide away now, and now's the difficult part. I've got to test my knowledge. So I've got my scrap piece of paper here. I'm going to screw it up and throw it away afterwards. It doesn't have to be neat, and I'm going to try and remember as much as I can. Now, I'm going to separate my paper out because most of it was on mitosis or cell division that I remembered, and a little bit was on cell differentiation. All right, and your job now is to write down as much as you can remember that I've just told you about cell differentiation and about mitosis. It could be bullet points, it could be diagrams, it can be keywords. Off you go. I'm going to also be having a think, and I'm going to be throwing you some clues, but your job now is to just get down as much as you can remember. All right then. Cell differentiation. Here's some help. The first thing we said that cell differentiation is when a cell changes. When a cell changes. And there was that diagram. Can you remember what that diagram looked like? It was when an undifferentiated or a general cell changed, and it changed into a cell that looked different or had different things inside it or did different jobs. We said it became differentiated. So that was undifferentiated, and that was differentiated. It had changed. This is a white blood cell here. It's changed. It's got a funny shaped nucleus, and it's got some little dots that are vesicles. Can you remember anything else about cell differentiation? When does it occur most of the time? In adults, most of the time it happens when you're an embryo, when you're developing. All right. However, there is still some left in adult cells. Can anyone remember why it was important that we kept a few undifferentiated cells, a few stem cells? Because they are there to repair and replace damaged cells. We can call them stem cells. And we're going to talk more about that in a bit if we've got time. All right then, mitosis. What had to happen first? Can you remember? We said that first of all, the chromosomes, here's a chromosome, have to go from being a single copy to being a double copy. We say that the chromosomes replicate, or the DNA replicates. So this is identical to that one. It copies itself, so those two are identical. So the DNA replicates. So in a cell that's about to split, the chromosomes look like crosses. When it's ready to split, where did those crosses go? Can you remember? Here's the cell, here's the nucleus. The crosses lined up in the middle, and in your picture, they lined up that way. There's three there, I better draw three there. So they line up down the middle and they start to be pulled apart or separated. That's the chromosomes. So we end up with one set of chromosomes at one side of the cell and one set of chromosomes at the other side of the cell. What happens next to keep them separated? I'm going to draw a big lumpy cell now. Can you remember what happened next? Here's one set of chromosomes. They're single again now because they've been separated. Here's another one. a nuclear membrane formed around them. So you get a new nucleus, new nuclear membrane. And then lastly, this is one cell with two nuclei. That needs to split into two. And for it to split into two, we need to divide up the cytoplasm and the membrane. So we're going to go to two cells. We're going to split the cytoplasm and the membrane, and each cell is going to have 3 chromosomes in it. They are identical. It's really important that they're identical. So this cell has to be identical to that cell, and this cell and that cell also have to be identical to the first cell, because if this is a skin cell, you want more skin cells. You don't want a stomach cell. And that's it. When we've remembered as much as we can check our knowledge, or we can either keep that if we want, or we can chuck it away and do it again later and see what we can remember. So that's brain dump. Having a quick look, then testing yourself just by writing down as much as you can remember. Give it a go.